You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 59 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Corey.
And I'm James.
Awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. I'm stoked to be here. A little bit of a slow week in Star Wars news, but that's okay. We have got a bunch of stuff to cover anyway, including some talk about starships in Star Wars and some Rian Johnson comments that don't quite jive, or do they? We're going to talk a bunch about Rebels. We're going to talk episode 8 and answer some questions. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. Glad you guys are here to join the ride. And let's catch up, guys. It's been a while since we spoke. So how's your weekend, Corey?
Not too bad. Took it kind of easy, you know. I finally, like I was just telling you guys, I finally found the Leia I've been looking for, the 6-inch Leia from A New Hope.
This is the toy you're looking for.
That was the toy I was looking for. It was gone off the shelves. It was the only one, too. It was awesome. I saw it. I was like, done. The time is now.
Good score. Clearly the highlight of your weekend.
Pretty much, yeah.
And James, what's going on with you? How was your weekend?
Terrific weekend. Turned 14 this week. So had a bunch of birthday celebrations.
Emotionally 14?
That's my dyslexia kicking in. But I'll point out that I put the sexy in dyslexia.
Oh boy!
If life gives you melons, you probably have dyslexia. Anyway, I went out to Barbie Barn and had like my favorite meal with the family, nostalgia style. We used to do that when I was a kid, and had a nice weekend. Yeah.
And we've been pretty spoiled weather-wise lately. Like, I haven't used my fireplace in well over a week, maybe even 2. It's just been
very mild
by our standards. Other people
Today
might find this cold.
Above freezing all day long, which is unusual for this time of year.
It's been that for like the last week, hasn't it? Or just below freezing, which
right around freezing and just above a lot of the time, which is nice.
You know, a lot of people listening might still find that actually really cold, but for us at this time of year, it's a joke.
Yeah, but we're in for it this week. I already read the weather reports.
Oh, don't tell me. Yeah. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, 30 centimeters of snow Tuesday morning.
Snow day.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
The teacher's happy about that.
Yeah, we'll see. I probably jinxed it. I basically just said no hitter.
Oh, man. Anyway, so, guys, Rogue One. Happy to say, finally crossing 1 billion. I think it took a couple days longer than they expected, but still accomplishing it in 39 days, which is quite amazing. I don't know if you guys checked it out, but man, Disney, they ran off with 26% of the North American box office market share in 2016. That is insane.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling 2017 is going to be even more so with their lineup that they have coming out this year.
Absolutely it will be. They've got, 3 Marvel movies, episode 8, and who knows what they've got on the slate for the...
Cars, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, my God. They're going to... Yeah, the 26% will probably jump to like 35-40% next year. It's going to be disgusting.
Quick sidebar, when's Beauty and the Beast slated for release? Christmas, no?
I want to say March.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That makes more sense.
You thinking of taking Corey?
We already have tickets.
March 16th. Actually, that's the German release. Shout out to our German listeners.
What, you don't listen to our other podcast, Kyle? I'm the beauty.
And it's called Two Beauties, No Beast. So.
March 17th in the United States. I would assume that also means for us here up in the Great White North. So you can book your ticket.
Yeah, I didn't realize. That's awesome. I actually loved that movie as a kid, the animated one. So and I think the casting is pretty solid for this live action. It might be pretty good.
Well, it's certainly going to kill at the box office. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rogue One crossing 1 billion globally. It's at 1.011, which is 48.8% of the take of The Force Awakens. So for anybody like me that said it would hit 50% of The Force Awakens, I think you can take a bow now. I think once it just fizzles out, I think it's going to hit that 50% marker.
Yeah, no, you nailed it right on, and I mean, if that's a sign of how they can forecast and set this up, I think they've got like basically a machine they can print dollar bills on every year now.
Yeah, they can bank on $1 billion a year out of Star Wars, at least.
Well, that's with one movie.
And if they ever decide to ramp it up to 2, who knows what kind of dollars they can rake in. But man, they just must be laughing over there. It's just so much money. They can't be any happier. I guess
sure,
they can be. They can be. They want more money.
But I legitimately believe that they're going to do this franchise right. Like, I don't think it's going to come to the point where, like, you're beating a dead horse. Like, I don't want that from Star Wars. Like, I really don't want them to see the market super oversaturated with it, because I think, I don't know, it could be not healthy for the franchise. I think we've discussed it in the past. I think it does need some amount of break time at a certain point. And I think they're going to respect that as well. Like, the marketing team, the time and effort that goes into this thing, they want to milk it for as long as possible. So I don't think they're going to abuse it too badly. Even though, like, I can't, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. No matter where you go now, it's Star Wars everywhere. It's amazing.
Well, I think you're right. I'm getting more in line with the thought that once episode 9 ends, episode 10 is a ways down the line. But I don't think there's going to be a time anytime soon where there's no Star Wars movie in cinemas. I think we're going to get standalones at least for the next decade. I don't think that there's going to be any break where there's no Star Wars in cinemas. It's just they just won't leave $1 billion on the table.
No, that's true. But we'll see how it's going to be interesting to see how they market everything and how they proceed with all their future plans.
It's going to be perfect.
Well, everything changes too, you know, like they just kind of play the market and play everything by ear, and
no, they play nothing by ear.
Well,
nothing.
I think that their market team, like, definitely does a lot of research, you know, so they're ahead of the game. We'll say, like, they're ahead of the trends. They know what their fans want. Like, exactly, like I've said this before, like, there was a lot of rewrites for episode 8 based on the reactions to episode 7, right?
Oh, absolutely. They definitely know that they know what their fans want. And right now, the wind is blowing in the direction of give us more. And when that wind changes direction, they'll change with it. But I don't know if you can say they're playing anything by ear. They're just winging it. They know what they've got charted out for the next several years. And I guess beyond that, it's kind of silly to look too far ahead. But you know, they are calculating down to the last day, dollar, dime, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'm not saying anything for the plans that are already in the works. Like, we know we're gonna have films of 2020, but anyhow, it's gonna be interesting.
So, these people, there's people, and I still see them every day that say that the Disney takeover, not only just of Lucasfilm but of Marvel, has ruined everything. They've delegitimized the whole thing. Do these people have any credibility?
I guess I would take the time to hear their argument, at least for a few seconds, and if I could flush it as garbage, I would. But for me personally, it's a matter of opinion, and I think they've done a great job. Like, I wish the Marvel universe wasn't so fragmented. Like, I really wish they can all the studios can kind of get together, like, especially what they're doing with Spider-Man and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, everything they've done so far seems pretty bang on to me. Like, some of the Marvel movies were like so okay, but in the grand scheme of things, the majority of them are quite good. and Star Wars is just the best. So
I agree with Corey. Like, I don't think as a broad statement, it's fair to say they've done it perfectly or they've done it, or, ruined Star Wars. I think there's some people who probably have legitimate reasons to really like it, which we all do. And I'm sure there's people out there who don't like it who could defend their point, and you'd be like, all right, well, it's okay. You don't like it for those reasons and whatever. There's also just haters who hate on it because whatever, it's cool to be.
Oh yeah, they hated on
against
it
the trend.
whether Disney owns it or not. They just say, it sucks, and it always has, always will.
And even people who probably maybe there's a percentage of people who had just too high expectations because it was Star Wars and they wanted it to be this thing that it could never be. But for all the same reasons Corey said, I'd say it's like a personal opinion thing, and from one person to the next, it could be legit or not.
Well, a lot of the psycho element from the Bring Back Legends crowd, they're just still so bitter that their books were flushed out in place of the new canon that we're getting now. So they'll be bitter forever. Yet I still have a sneaking suspicion they still hit the theater every time a movie drops and look over the shoulder. Is any of my friends looking? I'll take one for Star Wars, please.
Yeah,
don't kid yourself.
I don't get that at all.
Friends.
Like, on a quick sidebar, like last week, I was telling you guys I went to the bookstore and I stocked up on like 8 Star Wars books or something, But the majority of books there are like reprinted Legends stuff. It's still out there. It still exists.
There's still demand for it.
Yeah, there is.
Still get it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people who like say that these are the best. This is the best story I've ever read in Star Wars, and that's fine. It's just
I don't think Kyle's crapping on the Legends material. I think he's crapping on people who hate Star Wars because they love the Legends material.
No, I'm on the same page as Kyle.
I have definitely crapped on some.
Don't let me speak for you.
No, I have crapped on a lot of the Legends material. It just got so silly at some points, but some of it was really good.
Right.
But yeah, it's the element in fandom that you took it away from me, and therefore everything you do from now on is garbage. I don't have time for those people.
Yeah, I got something to say. That's literally, hang on, stupid. Cheers.
Is that your first, Corey? Is that beer number 1, or like are you like 5 deep on the day?
No, dude, this is definitely beer number 1.
One of how many?
I got 3 down here. Maybe when we go to the green room, I might need to restock. We'll see how things go. You just never know. Just once it hits your lips.
Oh, geez. Here we go. All right, so getting into some of the news, and there really wasn't a lot this week, so I'm glad we held back on a couple things over the last couple weeks. We had some big shows, so it was easy to do some cutting. But we can bring this one back to the fore. So there's a report from Making Star Wars about new TIE fighters for Episode 8, which, that's fine. We can leave that as it is. But I wanted to ask a more global question regarding vehicles. So, and it's going to be hard because us here, we're old school fans, and I think most of the people that listen to us are also old school fans, and we just love
Hi, Mom.
the big nostalgia. Well, sorry, James, go ahead.
No, just you talking to the 2 people who listen to us, so I wanted to say hello.
Yeah. Hi, guys. So I just want to know, is it better to revamp the old classic ships and just let us drool over these old designs that we know and love? Or should have The Force Awakens had taken the time to design entirely new ships? George Lucas went out of his way, and he mentioned this after The Force Awakens came out. I guess it was a way for him to kind of couch his criticism, but he said that he went out of his way and tried really hard to come up with entirely new designs for each of the prequel movies, new places, new planets, new ship designs, and it was an important thing for him to do. I don't know, James, what do you think? Did they do the right thing by just slightly tweaking the old designs, or should they have done something new, roll the dice and tried to strike new gold with a new iconic ship?
Well, I think you could make strong points for either side of that argument, but I think they did it right in keeping it nostalgic, and I think the box office backs that up, and also the sort of critical acclaim it got.
The toy sales too,
compared to the And well, I was going to say that too. You've got a whole new generation of kids to sell the same old toys to. But also on a personal level, I think it's smart because if you're going to make a whole bunch of Star Wars movies, and you're going to drop things like the Crawl, there's got to be threads that tie it all together, and more than just the lightsaber. So I think it was really smart to give us all of that eye candy that made us feel really warm and fuzzy. And I think I said this to you guys in a private conversation, but like in the Force Awakens, when we see that crashed Star Destroyer for the first time on screen, that's like was maybe one of the biggest wow moments of the whole movie. And so, you know, if you just put in a whole bunch of brand new ship designs and left that out, I think you miss a big opportunity to wow your fans.
Well, you could have always had that ship graveyard there on Jakku and just said, well,
of course you could have and had new ships flying around. But
it still would have been an amazing shot.
I'm just pointing out that the classic ships give us that reaction. Like in the whole movie, that ship is one of the highlights.
Yeah, but not only
that's
that,
how important those designs are.
It's seeing that ship in that condition as well. Like the visual on that is just like, oh my god.
Well, yeah, and the scale you get from having it on the ground too.
Yeah, the Star Destroyer, a symbol of Imperial might, decrepit, destroyed, smashed up, just like that.
But, you know, just before I pass it off to Korea, and I will say it doesn't make sense to keep the same designs around forever. Like, it would be unrealistic for technology not to improve and stuff. So, you know, we talked a little bit about this with the Falcon. Like, can the Falcon go around being a cool smuggler ship throughout Star Wars movies forever? Probably not. Like, at some point, it's got to become, you know, the gremlin on the highway.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't want to do what you hate, James, which is just to take up the other side for the sake of it. But I'm trying to explore the line of would repeating the cozy story beats from A New Hope, which The Force Awakens did, would that have been enough? Would we have said, yeah, that story felt so familiar, and even though it was all new ships and everything kind of didn't look Star Wars, the story felt right and the characters felt right, and that's enough. Do you think that would have been okay? I know it's impossible to answer. We can't unknow what we know. But I wonder if we would have had the same result.
Yeah, it's hard to know, but maybe we would have. Where are you sitting on this, Corey?
Well, I think you guys both kind of touched upon it a bit. Like, Disney really had to walk a fine line. It being
Lucasfilm.
Or Lucasfilm, excuse me. They had to really walk a fine line in bringing back Star Wars. So I think they needed, at least for the first film, to get some familiar aspects of those movies back in to get us comfortable again, get us nice and cozy, as Kyle had said. But to be honest, I think it can go both ways. Like, I would like to see, like, some of the stuff has been customized, fine, but they're still very similar. I'm personally kind of getting fed up of all the variations on TIE models. There must be at least 50 of them now. Some of them are extremely cool, but some of them are kind of lame, in my opinion. Like, I'm sorry to say, but there's way too many of them. Like, so I wouldn't mind seeing those kind of revamped as well, but bringing in a few new ships per movie would be nice too. Like, we saw the U-Wing come in, which was awesome. Bit by bit, I don't think they want to overwhelm us at once with all these new ships, so they're going to do it slowly, I would think. But the marketing's there. Just an example of this, like how we can be familiar about it, and Kyle had said it earlier about George Lucas creating all these new scenes and planets, and I've recently been watching the Clone Wars, like, chronologically, and the ships in this series are so amazing. And watching the special features, George Lucas had a big hand in making this series, right? And wow, some of the ships on this are just so cool, and the concepts. So I can see, you know, from both perspectives, but I see why Disney kind of went this route for the time being, or Lucasfilm, excuse me.
Hey, there you caught yourself. Nice job.
He said that Luke, they had a hand in it, but I heard Jim Henson had a hand in the original OT quite a bit.
He had his hand all up in
no,
there.
I did want to make an actual. Yeah, I did want to make an actual point on that though. But first, I'm gonna make a qualifying question. Corey, would you say we have like a intelligent and well versed fan base that listens to the Tumbling Saber?
Yes, I would.
So
like not the
just
kind
to
of
back
people
up my
that
point-
misinterpret clear questions.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, they're not necessarily
up-
fans of the show. They're just on Twitter.
To back up my point about how important the classic ships are, when we did a poll for like most classic sounds in Star Wars, what ranked up right near the top?
Well, I think the thing was iconic. That was the word you're looking
Yeah,
for.
okay.
Iconic.
Well, even better. But that's even better. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Wrong.
That's how important the ships are to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So I think a fine line is exactly what they were walking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
they
you're
couldn't. They said right away that they weren't going to be touching too much on the prequels and stuff. So they wanted to
Well,
get
they
us
never
back.
mentioned I don't think they ever said that outright. It was just, I don't know, between the lines, or maybe not. I don't even know if they bothered talking about that. They said that, you know, practical effects and this and that, real sets and real props, and then everybody ran with, oh, they're staying away from the prequels, which eventually turned into there's a prequel ban at Lucasfilm, which of course was nonsense. But circling back to the old ship designs, you know, Lucas, it's not entirely accurate to say that he only did new ship designs for the prequels, because once you hit even Attack of the Clones, when you think about it, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter, although it was the shape of the ship was sort of like that arrowhead, the paint job on it was completely evocative of A-wings.
Oh yeah, they had like X-wing style ships as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just keeping it to the movies. I mean, I know once you get into Clone Wars, you can.
No, even in the movies too, they had like they looked like X-wings, but they were only one wing, kind of, you know.
Oh, in Revenge of the Sith, they had the ARC-170, which was just a beast. Actually, I have that toy. It is huge. In wingspan, it's bigger than our old Falcon toy. Just to give you an idea, it's longer and it's wider. It's massive. It seats 3 clones. It seats an R2 unit. It's a massive ship. But yeah, that was sort of I guess that's exactly where I was going. That's the predecessor to the X-wing, I think. Just by the way the S-foil sort of open up in that configuration. But yeah, and then you have the 2 Jedi Starfighters where the cockpits look just like TIE Fighter cockpits.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you can see that visual cue there.
Yeah.
So Lucas had begun tying that together, but yeah, no, I just want to pick your guys' brains and anybody listening if they think that was the right course, or would they have preferred to see entirely new stuff. And even to fast forward to episode 8, it doesn't look like we're going to get anything different. It's you know, we saw Rian Johnson tweet an Instagram. He tweeted an Instagram pic. My God. He posted a pic to Instagram of what appears to be an A-wing. I think it's very clearly an A-wing. And there's for sure going to be more X-wings. And there's a recent set photo that looks like it could be the cockpit of a B-wing.
Come on, yeah, seriously though, where are the B-wings? I'm so surprised. Did you see any in Rogue One?
No, not one.
I would have thought that would have been the
I
perfect.
haven't heard anybody say either. Yeah.
It's weird. They really should. I don't know if it really is just a thing where that ship just doesn't photograph well in battle, which is why they weren't in Jedi much. But yeah, they got to get that ship in some action. Anyway, enough about starships. I want to move on to this piece that I held back on a couple weeks ago. It was from USA Today, and there's some interesting quotes, and I think we can spend a few minutes talking about it. So, Episode 8 director, writer, just the man behind the wheel now, Rian Johnson. He said that, quote, tonally, Episode 8 will emphasize fun. I want it to be a blast and to be funny and to be a ride the way The Force Awakens and the original Star Wars movies were. So that, right there, you kind of paint a picture in your head. And I read that and I was like, oh, great. But then I said, wait a sec. Let's back this up to May 2016, where John Boyega was quoted as saying that Episode 8, the script anyway, was, quote, a different take, darker and bigger. Okay, well, I don't know if those two quotes necessarily line up, but okay, let's move ahead. And then Adam Driver in September of 2016 said that Episode 8 was tonally different from Empire. Remember this clickbait story, right? Where
Yes.
everybody
course.
said, oh, Adam Driver said that Episode 8 is like Empire. No, what he actually said is that it's tonally different from The Force Awakens in the same way that Empire is tonally different from A New Hope. So here's 3 takes from 3 different people who all occupy major roles in this new Star Wars franchise. And they're saying potentially very different things, or are they? Are they just personal interpretations of the script and their part in the filming process? Or is it some sort of, I don't want to say a conspiracy to mislead us all, but is there something going on here, James?
I think personally it's a conspiracy to mislead us all.
You do think that?
No. I think the first thing you said is probably the most accurate. You said, is it their personal take based on their contribution? And I think it's exactly that. Like, the director of the Scream movies would say that they're a really fun ride. But, the actors would say, that was much darker than when I was in Legally Blonde. I'm trying to think of two very different movies. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's all about perspective. And so it could still be the same exact script that they're talking about, just because they have such different roles in producing that script.
Yeah, what do you think, Corey? I think I agree with James, but maybe Corey will bring something else to the table.
It's conspiracy, man. No, I'm totally on the same page. Action and comedy go so well together, and a movie is supposed to be a joyride. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have those ups, those downs, the magic, the tears, the laughter. That's fun. Just because a movie, let me ask you guys a question. What's the darkest Star Wars movie? Well, what's tonally the darkest Star Wars movie? I guess that's a matter of opinion as well, but
I think credibly you can only really give 2 answers. It's either Empire or Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so let's go with Empire. Yeah. Is that, that movie's fun, it's funny, it's fast-paced.
It might be the funniest.
It is. I think it is the funniest, and I don't even think it's close.
So,
when you think about it.
I mean, there you go. It's the darkest and the funniest. So right there, those comments all of a sudden start to make sense, because this is supposed to sort of shadow the movie we're talking about, anyways.
Well, yeah, and I guess that kind of circles back to some aspect of the ship discussion we just had. How close can you go? I mean, people are kind of afraid. I guess some people are hopeful that Episode 8 will mirror Empire. And so how close can you get to Empire in terms of story beats without actually copying it? What part of it is part of the storytelling process, and what part of it would be getting too close to Episode 8? And of course, I don't think we can answer that until we actually see the movie. But I think there's a discussion to be had there.
Yeah, let's just hope no one gets frozen in carbonite.
That would be a little too close, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if they were frozen in titaniumite?
I gotcha.
Well, zooming out of that, if you wouldn't have to free somebody in anything. It just if one of your heroes is lost and you don't know what's happened with them, you've kind of copied that story beat, right?
Not necessarily. I figure that's kind of the route they're going to take, but I think we'll talk about that later. But, people are really going to, they have a huge task ahead of them in that sense. Is no matter what they do, yes, they want to draw on some things, but, even the certain themes that they use, that people are going to nitpick and be like, oh, that's they're rehashing this, they're rehashing that, there's some grand themes that go on in Star Wars, and, some of them will be reused, people getting captured, or, the family stuff. I don't think necessarily that it's going to be a direct play on other movies, but they will have similarities.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess the question is how close is too close, because you're right. There will be some there definitely will be some similarities. There's no doubt, and there's going to be some stuff in a Star Wars movie that there's going to be lightsaber fights and blasters, and stormtroopers missing, and
I hope they kind of like do something where it's kind of like only the fans kind of know, like it's kind of like a throwback to something else, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like if someone says something, like the fans will know, kind of like almost breaking.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a wink to the fans, at least a couple of them.
But I think it's all a matter of personal interpretation, like you had said from the beginning, Kyle. Like just because the film might be dark doesn't mean it's not going to be fun and awesome.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily think those three comments, which seemingly say different things about the same script, I don't think those comments are mutually exclusive.
Agreed.
But it did kind of pique my interest a little bit, saying, man, these guys are saying like, they could be saying wildly different things or just using really different language to say the same thing.
And they all have different grasps or knowledge of the film as well. Like the director, I would think, knows a lot more than what the actors do at this point. Like sometimes actors, when they see a film for the first time, they're like, holy cow, Well,
especially nowadays when they do like alternative endings and they have multiple scripts out there, so nobody knows for sure what's going on.
Yeah, and when you really look at what he says, he wants to emphasize fun. Well, glad I'm hoping you're not emphasizing not fun, and you want it to be a blast. Well, I'm glad you want it to be a blast. Like, what Star Wars movie? When was the last time you went to a Star Wars movie and didn't have fun?
Well, he doesn't mention the prequels in his quote at all.
No, but he's a huge prequel apologist.
I know, but he still doesn't mention them. He says, I want them to be fun, and he could have said the prequels too.
He could have for sure. He said The Force Awakens and the original Star Wars movies. So it seems like, maybe if he's considering the prequels as part of the originals, that's sort of that could be a reach. But yeah, or on the other side, he's leaving the prequels out for a real intent purpose. Okay, so something else Rian Johnson said. He said, a huge part of especially Rey's character, something that was a really powerful part of her setup and something I wanted to dig into with this. So what he's referring to is Rey's family, where she comes from. And so the question I have stemming out of that quote, could the theme of family be explored through the old trope, or not a trope, but the old nature versus nurture debate, where Rey kind of has to choose which side is more important to her, the people who raised her versus the people that gave birth to her. Do you think, Corey, do you think that's something that they could explore?
I wouldn't necessarily say the people that raised her, because we know who that is. Like
do we?
Ankar Plutt, she kind of grew up on Jakku, right? So, like her original family, like I could see, yes, like that, versus Luke. Her lineage is going to come into this movie in a big way, and it's probably going to be like the climax of the film, kind of like her finding out is going to change things in a big way for the story, for her. So yeah. So let's say that that theory that we talked about on the show from, was it forcematerial.com that had it? Boy, I don't want to get that wrong, but the one that did a really good job of laying out the theory that Rey is a clone. Yeah, The Boys from Brazil. Right, that old movie. So if Rey potentially in Episode 8 finds out that she's a clone of, or a reincarnation of, could that lead her to follow down that path and try and stay faithful to that group? Or would she look at Luke as saying, you're not necessarily my father, but you're the person here investing yourself in me, and I'm going to stay with you? For sure, that's going to be I would think that's going to be one of the main story points of this movie, what's going to happen. Like I think she's going to be torn, that the news that she received is going to be a devastating blow to her, and it's going to leave her like in a very vulnerable position. But I can't say which path she'll take. I see it in my head right now. I could see her boarding the bad guy ship, and I could see her staying with Luke, And that's what's so great about this, is that we've been set up, I guess, to believe
to find either side believable.
And
that's
we
what
know
makes me-
too from The Force Awakens, like that last battle scene with Kylo Ren, like there was obvious. It was obvious that she was struggling with the dark side there too.
As they all do, yeah. And I assume she will again. James, anything you want to add to this?
I think we're agreeing a lot, so I didn't want to chime in and just say yes.
This is like the second or third week in a row that we're agreeing on most things. This is getting bad.
We're hanging out too much.
No, but it's good. I mean, most of the questions too. I mean, a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I think. Well, personally, I think that they're not going to go down that road, but they definitely could. Your question was, could they explore the nature versus nurture? Could they make that the big storyline? I think they certainly could, but but personally, I think that the Skywalker story isn't finished being told, and it has a big role to play yet in her lineage.
Okay, so the last question here on Luke, guys. So if Luke becomes a big focus of Episode 8, and I imagine he will, evidenced by this quote from Rian Johnson, what's going on with Luke Skywalker is the essential question at the heart of the new film. So it seems like Luke is going to take the fore again. And again, for us old school fans, we're like, yes, the more Luke, the better. But does this take away from the new characters? Can we have our cake and eat it too? Like, can everybody go to this movie and walk away happy, James?
Everybody? No, you can't please everybody. But I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think you can have an Obi-Wan and a Qui-Gon character in the same movie, and have them both be relevant stars. I think the Master Padawan relationship that they've set up in these movies makes it so that it's okay that Rey's not the only star of Episode 8, and if she's got a really cool mentor in Luke that does quite a bit of the work, that I think we'll have no problem getting behind that.
Is there a danger, a risk, a threat? I don't know what word you want to use, but in sort of the more progressive circles in society, if Rey kind of takes a back seat to Luke, is there going to be, I imagine there will be complaining, but will that complaining have any leg to stand on?
It's all relative. I would think that it just depends on the amount. Like, to me personally, I think Rey is the key, but fandom, like you had said, Kyle, me as a fan, I think you guys as well, like, we wanted to see Luke in 7. We saw him for about 5-10 seconds. So now it's his time to shine. Like, he's going to have a huge role in this movie. People should deal with that. Like, I want to see it. I think everyone should want to see that. Characters like Finn, they're each going to have their own story arc. Even in The Force Awakens, Poe Dameron didn't necessarily have, like, this huge role, but, he's this huge character now. Like, people love him. He's got his own comic book. Like,
Yeah, and everybody loves Ezra, and he takes a backseat to Kanan. Like, as long as it's done right, like as long as she's not a damsel, but an apprentice, then I think it's fine.
Yeah, I would tend to think as long as her story progresses and she's not rendered some sort of ineffectual little girl, then it's all good.
No,
but someone will still complain, of course.
I'm sure she's gonna impress Luke the same way she impressed Han. At one point, anyway. Like, yeah, I'm sure Luke's gonna be like, in the training. I think we can get into that soon with the trials of the Darksaber, but masters have to
the
be
same
tough.
things that would impress Han are, the mechanical prowess, the piloting ability. Han would be wowed by that. But what would Luke? I mean, Jedi are not supposed to be wowed by this kind of thing, right? If Master Obi-Wan saw me doing this, he'd be very grumpy. They're kind of stuck up that way.
No, but even just in
but
a Force sense,
to be fair, they were wowed by Anakin when they found him.
Yeah, well, in a way, it's kind of like stumbling upon a nuclear bomb in the forest. Oh, what's this? Like, we better take care of this thing. You're at equal, yeah, you're kind of like wowed by the power in front of you, but at the same time, you need to treat it very carefully.
No, this movie's going to be amazing. I have a good feeling about this movie. And
You don't say.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Corey, that's so unlike you.
Really?
Yeah, you're usually so negative and cautious about Star Wars.
Well, you know. But episode 8, trust me on this one, guys.
We can take it to the bank. It's going to be good.
Take it to the bank.
Okay. I'm going to check out the Vegas odds on that after. Will episode 8 be good? Oh, guys, before we break for Rebels talk here, there's a clickbait story going around right now that apparently Woody Harrelson has confirmed that he's playing this character from Legends lore. I can't remember the name. It's let me Google it here.
Not Dash Rendar?
No. Pardon the pause here for a second. Okay, so Garrus Shrike is a character from Legends, and there's a video going around with Woody Harrelson, and the interviewer asks Woody if he's playing Garrus Shrike, but the guy needs to learn to enunciate a little bit because Woody seems kind of confused at the question and just kind of answers yes, like as if he's just answering some random question. And so all the clickbait sites are running wild right now, saying that Woody Harrelson confirms he's playing this certain character, which just a warning, could not be further from the truth. People went to Pablo Hidalgo right after because, of course, this is as clear as mud, and said, "Can we assume this to be true?" And Pablo said, "I wouldn't." So it sounds very much to me like Garrus Shrike is not the character that Woody Harrelson is playing.
That'd be so awesome, man. Imagine if you were in a Star Wars film and someone asks you a question like that and you just say yes to everything. Like, it would just cause such chaos.
Yeah, no doubt you'd probably want to just mess around with people. It's you know, in one hand it's hilarious to watch people kind of turn themselves inside out over this stuff. And on the other hand, it's kind of mean. And you're probably causing a lot of extra work for people at Lucasfilm to have to monitor this stuff, and they got to pull you into their office or have a call with you. It's like, dude, you got to stop. All right, so let's take a few minutes here and talk about Rebels. James will give you a few minutes nap here. It's been a very taxing episode.
Yeah, I've been hard at work, but I'll go take a snooze in the hammocks in the break room.
Cool.
All right, guys.
We'll let you know when it's safe to come back.
As always, yeah, enjoy.
So, Corey, if Sabine was a character that may have been lagging in the character development department, I think we just got caught up and then some. I think we learned more about Sabine in Trials of the Darksaber than in the previous 2.5 seasons combined.
Yeah. Yeah, she said, even at that, we didn't learn too much, but we learned a bit about her past anyhow. I'm just curious to find out more now.
I think we learned a whole lot about her today. My goodness, we learned... I mean, right from the hop, you could tell that... You know, we learned that she gave Kanan the Darksaber after she snatched it on Dathomir.
That's true.
That
was unexpected.
We know that she's supposed to have it. We saw it in trailers, and just by virtue of knowing it's a Mandalorian artifact and she's Mandalorian, you would know that, oh, this clearly belongs to Sabine. But she gave it up as if, you know, forget this. I do not want any part of this. Almost like Rey not wanting any part of it.
Yeah. I think Rey's going to have a similar thing to that. Like, she's not going to want to... Like, Sabine clearly doesn't want to confront her past. Like, she's basically running, in a way, if you want to look at it like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, through the episode, and
Kanan beats it into her, literally.
Well, we see exactly how much pain and betrayal is in her past. Like, she when she finally breaks down in front of Ezra and sort of spills the beans, you know, she talked about how the Empire made her build all these terrible weapons that were eventually used on her own people. You know, that's got to be an awful feeling. But then, you know, when she kind of left the Empire and she was going to go back to her family, they then rejected her too, leaving her on her own, which I guess propelled her into her life with Ketsu. and into a life of bounty hunting.
Did you mention the fact that she'd mentioned that she was, I guess, we knew from previous episodes that she had at one point been in the Academy, the Empire, and now we know that she was developing weapons for the Empire, which is pretty interesting to me.
Well, I wonder if she was in Krennic's division at any point.
It's very possible.
And he is the head of the weapons research department or whatever it is. Yeah, she is very young, but
gifted.
Very gifted. Yeah, I mean, at this point in the timeline, like Krennic would have been in charge of all that weapon development stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, definitely.
Not that I expect to see Krennic and Sabine on screen together, or in a book together for that matter. But it is interesting to see that kind of thread connected a little bit, that Sabine probably fell somewhere on the hierarchy chart under Krennic, probably a ways down the list, but interesting to see how that kind of ties together.
I just want to go back to the beginning and just say that this episode was amazing. It's definitely minimum top 5 for me. Probably even top 3. I'm going to go, just be safe, say top 5 episodes of Rebels thus far, all seasons.
This was a great episode. I mean, there's no denying that. I'm sure some people were frustrated that they didn't have, a lot of the explosions and action that you really want from Star Wars Rebels, but also rare. I mean, this was a very unique episode. We rarely get such a deep character dive like this, and I was really happy to see it because, there's this whole episode was set in this sandy pit on Atollon, and nothing happens. There's no external threat. There's no enemies. There's nothing.
Well,
it's just
there's Bendu.
He's no threat. He just kind of, you see that one part where she kind of kicks Bendu, obviously not knowing that it's him.
Well, I think there's more to it than that. I find that interesting that he was there for that.
But he's just observing, right?
Exactly. That's what he does.
He's just watching. And he just kind of goes back to sleep.
No, but you could see when she left is kind of when he awoke, this. He's like, this is some pretty important stuff here.
Yeah, we definitely get the sense that something important's going on here. I mean, we've been building Sabine ever so slowly, painfully towards this point, and I guess it's going to feel only more painful now. But we're finally getting there with her, and I think it's going to be one of the most fascinating character arcs definitely in Rebels, but also in maybe all of Star Wars.
Yeah. It looks deep, man. I just love the Darksaber. I want to know so much more about it now. We also found a lot out about the Force in this episode, but I just want to say first and foremost that the sound that this Darksaber makes is just so amazing. I adore it. It's solid, man. When it comes on, I'm just like, oh yeah! It just sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool sounding, cool looking saber. It's perfect as a Mandalorian thing.
I also love how at the beginning of the episode, kind of the tone set right off the bat. You could see Sabine has something to face. They almost have an intervention with her. But even just when Fen Rao takes the Darksaber from Kanan for the first time, and he's just like, oh my god, you know what this means? And he holds it up and he ignites it, and it just kind of like a time lapse back, telling the tale of Tar Vizsla, which is the first Mandalorian Jedi. So cool.
Yeah,
that's huge.
That was amazing. Yeah, that was a really amazing bit. I wish that could have gone on a bit longer, but it is really interesting that Darksaber used to reside in the Jedi Temple until the Mandalorians took it back. I think there's a story there that could be told one day.
Big time.
Yeah, so I mean, anyway, the big threat in this episode, I mean, every episode's got some kind of underlying threat, whether it's one of those the infiltrator droids, or Thrawn, or Callus. But the threat in this episode was Sabine's bottled up emotions, right?
Of course.
And that was obvious. Not saying anything breakthrough there, but what I especially liked is through Kanan, we got to learn a little bit more again about lightsabers and how they pull to one another when they're in contact. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, dude, that was so cool. We learned so much more than that. We learned. She basically was saying at the beginning, it feels heavy, and he's like, you have a very powerful blade, and he was saying thoughts, actions, they're all energy, which connects to the crystal, and is gonna flow through the crystal, and you're gonna become one with the blade. Like the user of the blade has a symbiotic relationship with it, the lightsaber. Like, I just thought that was amazing, and at a point it starts becoming lighter for her. So that was super interesting.
Well, yeah, it definitely was. Because she mentions how it's when she starts really committing to it that it's starting to it feels lighter to her. He says you're connecting
Kanan
with
tells
it.
her after, he's like, your actions, like the energy you're putting into this thing is you're connecting with this crystal, and there's a relationship there, which it's just so interesting. And even when he just gave her the blade, because it's kind of partially his fault, as Hera kind of pointed out. Like Hera says, you need to trust her at this point. Like, you got to stop training with sticks and give it to her, and that's after like she's super defiant and tells me he's such a crappy master. And like,
Yeah, that was mean, wasn't it? I mean, obviously her frustration was palpable, but man, that was uncalled for, Sabine.
Oh yeah, big time. But it just goes to show you where she's at. Like she's frustrated. They've been there a couple of days. Ezra's been rubbing it in. She's under a lot of pressure.
I mean, Kanan has to learn as a teacher too, right?
What's that?
Kanan has to learn as a teacher. I mean, he's had nobody really to teach him how to be a teacher. He just sort of he fell out of, he ran for freedom, I guess, for his life during Order 66. And then from then on, he was on his own. He had no teachers.
Like,
so he's had to teach Ezra, but we remember back to season 1 where he didn't want to teach Ezra because he wasn't sure he could do it.
Yeah.
And a good teacher kind of has to adapt, I guess, his method or her methodology based on the students that you're dealing with. And
I loved Ezra's character in this episode too. Like, even at one point, like you're saying, Kanan, they're talking, and he's like, Ezra's like, hey, he trained me, and then Kanan's like, yeah, look how good you turned out. And Sabine's like, is he being serious? And Ezra's like, I can never tell. That was
funny.
It was really good. And I think he learned something from Ezra. And he was definitely a lot tougher from what I've ever seen him be as a master on Ezra. And she has a lot to learn in a short time, and Ezra kind of points that out as well, saying, he's trying to teach her everything at once, and she does have a short time to learn.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that when Kanan was like, okay, you know what, train with Ezra for a bit. Maybe Kanan, I don't know if he walked out of frustration, or if he just wanted to take a step back and observe in a Bendu-ish type way. But she was almost insulted when he said train with Ezra, as if it was a demotion or a step backwards in the process.
Yeah, it's true. You just want to, like you said, test the waters with her, and she needs to learn the forms.
Like she just wants to get there, right? She wants to train with Kanan because he's the top dog there, and we see that she only really commits to the whole thing once. Hera was right. Like, give her the sword. Once she gets the sword, it will be real to her, and or the whole scenario will be real to her, and that's exactly what happened. Like when Kanan gave her the Darksaber,
I got chills, man, when he gave it to her. Another very cool thing. I think you guys were kind of busting chops on this one last week, but I think I must have rewinded it about 5 times to get the wording right. And even at that, I don't know if it is. But Fen Rao gives Sabine some, I think they're called van braces.
Yeah, the van braces.
Yeah, they're amazing. They were like tools designed to fight Jedi. They got like a repulsor thing, the grappling hook, which is kind of that light thing that you guys were talking about, and like darts and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
super cool. And it looked like it was like a treasure.
Those are the calling cards of the Mandalorians. And I guess they're kind of cool, but I'm not... I said this last week. I'm not a huge fan of all these types of gadgets. I guess if you're going to do it, give it to the Mandalorians and keep it there. But man, I don't want them to really overuse it.
No, I agree with you. And like, you kind of got the sense of that when Sabine sees them, she's like, holy crap, like, what is this? And he's like, they're for you, you know. This is like, they look like an important artifact almost. And like you said, they're designed so that the Mandalorians can fight Jedi, like almost on an equal playing ground. So,
yep. I thought it was really nice when here you go. You have this teenage girl who's struggling not only to find her place within the whole Rebels crew, but now struggling with, you know, where's this whole Darksaber thing going to take her? And it was nice to see that Kanan, Ezra, and Fenn sort of just pledge their allegiance to her, and that they'll always be there for her no matter what they do.
Yeah, that was beautiful, man. Like, again, another scene where I got chills. I have that written down when Ren says, like, if, you know, it may not mean much to you, but I will follow you. It's like, wow. And then Ezra's like, me too, you know? They're all on one knee.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a very empowering moment for her. And I think it was fantastic. Dave Filoni wrote this episode.
Really, eh?
Yeah, so I think, and I think that's it's not a mistake that we enjoyed this episode so much, and it was so striking and poignant. Dave Filoni has been very outspoken about putting strong women in Star Wars. Very, very outspoken. So I'm sure he wanted to babysit this episode from a script perspective and make sure that it was done properly.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if you might have told me this last week, or I might have read it this week, that I think his wife's last name is Convery, you know?
Yep. Yeah, the Converys are the birds are named after his wife.
And interestingly enough, again, there's a Convery painted on Sabine's left shoulder pad.
Yeah, that was a kind of sussed out when the trailer for season 3 dropped in Celebration in London. I think people noticed that back then.
Oh yeah, big time.
So anyway, a really great episode, and of course it leads us into February. I think is the next episode now. So we got to sit tight for a month before we get the next installment of this Mandalorian saga.
See, that I was unaware of. You just really made me upset.
Well, I told you in a previous episode. You probably just weren't paying attention, or you'd had too much to drink.
Something like that, but still. Now I'm registering it, and it's not making me happy.
So you got a few Saturday nights to yourself, where you don't have to worry about any Rebels chat.
And you know what? I just want to say this quickly. Again, I'm not too happy to be saying this, but my wife is not exactly the biggest Star Wars fan. But last night I'm watching this episode, and you know, she just got out of the bath. She comes downstairs and she's painting her nails, right? And I got the episode on, and I'm sitting as close as I can be to the TV. I'm at like the closest point of the couch to the TV, so I'm basically blocking the TV for her because I know she's not gonna be watching it. Like, she's gonna be doing her nails or looking on her phone, whatever. Like, just letting me watch Star Wars. So by the end of the episode, I'm just like, oh, like I let this deep breath out. Like, wow, like that was magical, you know? Like, this is what Star Wars is about. And I turn around, and I could see that she's got her head poked around my head, and she looked enthralled as well. And then she started asking me questions, and I was like, oh yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's great. She likes to say that, you know, meh about it, but, you know, I always catch her. With the Rebels, too, she's pretty intrigued by Rebels, I have to say, because our son likes it, so.
One way or another, we're going to get you. Anyway, really great episode. I don't know if I want to see a deep dive like that. I think it was so effective because it's so unique. But I'm I'm just so excited to see how they handle this next.
For sure. We saw characters in a whole new light. It was great.
Yeah, I think Kanan took a step forward in his ability to teach. You got to adapt based on the student that you have. Sabine sort of let it all out, and she seems prepared to move forward with her destiny.
Yeah, she needed to get that off her chest. And another just quick point, Kanan also said that, he believes this was when they had the intervention for her and say, like, this, you can unite your people. And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And Hera's like, if you can raise a Mandalorian army, like, you kind of need to do this. But Kanan goes ahead and says, like, I believe this is like a will of the Force in a sense that it came into your possession not by accident.
Yeah. And did they reference or allude to when talking about needing to raise an army to battle the Empire? Are they referencing this upcoming Battle of Lothal?
It's possible. I know this is actually the first time I heard them talk about this, that they're going after Lothal, but I would hope so. We haven't heard too much about Mandalorians, really, in Star Wars. I want to see them have a bigger role, more of a past, because they're obviously quite important, so...
I mean, season 3, you can almost see it kind of shaping up on two different fronts, where Sabine leads Mandalorians who are, I guess, maybe teamed up with rebels against the Empire on Lothal. And on the other hand, you have the showdown between Maul, Obi-Wan, and who knows how or if Kanan and Ezra factor into that.
No, you're right. I would think they do. And I think that's a good way to, the crew's done it many times before where they separate and go on their own story arc. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where they go. I'm super stoked. But like I said, we've got a while to wait. And while we do, I don't know how much Rebels talk we'll get in the meantime, but definitely listeners out there, let us know what you've been thinking as far as Rebels goes. We definitely want to chat with you guys about that.
Yo, what up, boys?
Yo. Things are getting real on Rebels, good. James.
Yeah, I'm back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My kids were at the in-laws on Friday night, and so I watched an episode and a half, and I'll watch more this week.
Nice.
Very
it got
cool.
real this week. I'm telling you, James, the episode this week is amazing, magic.
Yeah, I miss the chat every week. I'm as much as I like the snack and exploring the studio while you guys are chatting. I wanted to point out to the listeners that we had some upgrades recently, and we put in some ambient lighting and like a relaxation fountain, which is near Corey's mic. So if you hear running water, that's just our studio's relaxation fountain.
All right, boys. So what do you think about hearing from our good friend and legendary knight of the Commonwealth, Ads? He's got a question for us this week, as he always does. I'm looking forward to answering that. You guys want to hear it?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that now.
Hello, chaps. A bit of a quick one this week. So, episode 8, a matter of 330 odd days away. We've previously discussed how we think the film may start. But what I'd like you to bat around for a bit is your thoughts on how the film may end and what the cliffhanger will be onto episode 9. Take care.
And there goes Ads once again with a great question for this week, one that I think we've spoken about before, but it's fitting. We kind of touched on these elements earlier in the episode, and I suppose once we start seeing some episode 8 stuff, we might want to touch on this again, but guys, episode 8, where do we think this movie's going to leave us by the end? James, why don't you... I'll throw it to you first.
Well, I think Ads, first of all, thanks again for another great question. He sends us every single week. He sends us quality stuff, so we probably owe him a check or two. I don't know if you mailed the last one. So the check is in the mail, Ads.
If somebody just tunes in just as you're... I know this is not radio, but if someone just tunes in just as you're saying Ads sends us quality stuff... Yeah, they're gonna wonder what we're actually doing here.
But there we are. Yeah, but as far as I think that they metaphorically and visually ended the last episode on a cliff as their cliffhanger. I think the next one will have a cliffhanger, but it'll be in Ray's head, and I think the way it'll mimic Empire is that they'll tell us who Ray's parent or parents are twice. And then we won't know who's telling the truth. I think she'll find out she's a Skywalker and a Kenobi, or she's a Skywalker. No, she's not. She's a clone. So I think she'll get two stories, two of the theories someone's fleshed out by now. And so the cliffhanger will sort of be like, which one is true? That's my stab at it.
And what about? I mean, we tend to focus on Rey and Luke as well. What about the other characters? Obviously, with what's gone on in the last few weeks, things with Leia might be up in the air. And what about Finn? What? It's really hard to know what's going to happen with Finn.
Yeah, I haven't even really tried to figure out his arc yet. Have you? Have you spent time sort of trying to forecast where he's going to end up?
I have a theory.
Oh, now it's time.
Well, I think from the rumors that we've heard, I think there might have been something that kind of disproven this, but at one point I think he's going to meet up with this. What's her name? I think her last name's Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, Kelly Marie Tran. He's going to meet up with her, and they're going to be on the lam at one point together. Possibly after the events of maybe Han's funeral. But I think that might have been... But either way, he's got his own story arc, it looks like, with her. That they're going to have their own mission, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely together. There's no question about that. And I think at one point somebody alluded to... people wondered about Rey and Finn, romantically speaking, and I think that's kind of been ruled out. But I potentially see something going on with Finn and this Kelly Marie Tran character. I think that could be a potential love interest for Finn.
I think what I had read something a while ago as well, that I think she is infatuated with him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right about that. I mean, that's a really early stage rumor. That could change very easily. But yeah, Finn, just to shine a little bit of a spotlight on Finn. I see him as sort of the moral compass of the new characters. I think no matter what happens, Finn will always choose right. I mean, he chose to walk away from a brainwashed life as a stormtrooper, and he chose to go rescue Rey, and lying to the Resistance in doing so.
He almost gave up though. He wanted to run with Maz.
Right, you're right. He did want to run away, and he was about to. Kind of.
Yeah, but you have to have the struggle. Just showing us his internal struggle. If it was easy for him, then
yeah, he was deathly afraid that the First Order was going to come there and slaughter everybody, and who knows what they would do to him? Either kill him or put him back in the Stormtrooper reconditioning program. But again, once the First Order showed up, he jumped back into the fight. So I think Finn will always do the right thing. I think that's just in his nature. And Episode 8, I don't know where it will leave him.
I think he's going to be a big part of the Resistance, having intimate knowledge of the First Order, being... I don't know, we don't know his level of expertise yet either. We know he was in sanitation, but he was still trained by the First Order, so he might be He might be quite the sharpshooter or whatever.
Well,
it
he
is,
was
you
a
know?
good.
He'd be
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
cool
if you
commando.
read Before the Awakening, Finn was a very good, very skilled stormtrooper.
So that's interesting. That's going to come into play, I would think.
I mean, it kind of already has. He's not an oaf out there on the battlefield.
True.
Does that make his line that he was in sanitation a bit odd, or it's just that they're well versed in everything, even though he was in sanitation?
Yeah, I think you spend some time training as a stormtrooper, and then from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, you're on sanitation duty. As for Poe, I don't know where that leaves him. Whatever the Resistance fate is, will be Poe's fate. I think. He was supposed to have a very abbreviated role in The Force Awakens until he begged Abrams and Kasdan to expand his role. Don't kill me, please, please. My uncle won't take it. So they expanded his role. He survived. Now, can we see Poe paying the ultimate price at some point? I suppose. I don't think it'd be in Episode 8.
Well, I wonder. Someone, if it's going to mimic Episode 5, there's got to be a traitor, right? So, like, could he maybe be the traitor?
No. After what we saw,
someone's got to be. You would have said that about Lando too.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it about Finn or Poe, just in the sense that he was the one chosen to go get the map for Skywalker, and pretty much, like, he got back to the Resistance base.
Well, yeah, if there's to be a traitor, I would say it'll be in one of the new characters that get introduced. Maybe it'll be the Kelly Marie Tran character, because supposedly she's a spy, sort of intelligence agent, a double agent type thing. So maybe she sells out the Resistance, and Finn is sort of smitten with her, but now he has to decide whether or not he's going to keep her around, because maybe she sold them out. He likes her, but she threw them all under the bus. He wouldn't be very pleased with that. But overall, I think it's inevitable, it's unavoidable that Episode 8 will leave us dangling from multiple points of view. I think the Resistance will be almost run over by the First Order. I think Rey and Luke, that little dynamic duo, I think that will be a very tenuous relationship by the end. I think Rey's got an innate distrust of people, given the way she was treated all her life, and I think there's going to be plenty of ammo for her to not fully trust Luke, despite Luke's best intentions. So I don't know, I think we're going to walk out of the theaters in Episode 8 and just be absolutely dying to find out what happens next. Even worse than after walking out of the theater and watching the movie end literally at the end of a cliff.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
And as for Leia, I don't know. I still don't know. It's still kind of too close to the actual loss of Carrie Fisher to make a real definitive opinion one way or the other. Like, will they do away with her in Episode 8 and clean that end up, or buy themselves some time, just leave her fate open-ended and deal with that once they start producing Episode 9? I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see how they play it. But I don't know, the way I see it, I think if you think of it, like the original trilogy, none of them really ended, or even the prequels, none of them really ended on a cliffhanger. The Phantom Menace kind of ended on a bit of a weird note, but
well, the Phantom Menace ended on the exact note that A New Hope ended on.
No, because you see Palpatine like all sneakily like, yeah.
Well, yeah, which was destroyed, the Master of the Apprentice. I get that, but the final scene is the parade with an award ceremony or a peace ceremony on the steps.
Oh, you're right. I was thinking of Qui-Gon's funeral. But there's that. But I kind of see. I definitely think Luke and Rey are going to be separated at this point. Either it's Luke who's captured and gone because of a decision that Rey's made, or Rey is chosen to do something with the dark side, like maybe even take on too much to herself or actually be swayed somewhat. I also possibly might see. I love the ending of Empire. Like, so much happened in that movie, so that people just need to like kind of like relax at the end, and you almost get a bit of a recap. And Luke's with Leia, and they're looking out onto the galactic horizon, if you will, from the medical bay. I would hope that at the end of this movie, like the characters kind of reassemble to regroup, like Rey, Finn, Poe, BB-8.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or like you guys said, I think what you said, Kyle. I think they might stick with the cliffhanger theme. It's possible there too, and even what James touched upon something interesting as well, that it could end on that note where we have everyone together, but there's something on the back of Rey's mind that the audience picks up on that no one else does.
Maybe. Everything's valid at this point. Let's see. So what about the Republic? I mean, we saw them get wiped out in the Hosnian system destruction, but I can't imagine that was the entirety of their fleet. Maybe it'll be like a similar scenario to James. Help me out here. It's Return of the King, where Rohan finally decides to go help.
Yeah, Rohan will come to Gondor.
Gandalf says. Where Gandalf says, "Look for me on the third day."
Yeah, something like that.
Rides down the hill in victory. Yeah.
Yeah, like after the beacons are lit, that dude goes running up to King.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, what's his name? Theoden, and says, "Oh, the beacons are lit. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Gondor needs our help." And up until that point, Theoden is just like, "Nope, you guys are on your own. Piss off. I'm gonna just sit here and chill." And then he says, and Rohan will answer. And everyone's like, yay! And they've got this whole army of backup. I wonder if it'll be a similar thing with the Republic, where we don't know. I mean, obviously they're going to want to strike back at the First Order, but maybe we won't know if they can.
Strike back.
I did it, didn't I?
I could also see, like, the remnants of the Republic kind of coming to the aid of the Resistance, kind of like last minute, like, a banding of almost like the rebellion was at a point, like, here's the last of what we got, like, you guys were right.
Yeah, I think that's more of an episode 9 thing, where the rest of the Republic shows up when things are just at the bleakest for the Resistance.
I think I would like it this way better, like end it on that note, and then by the time 9 comes around, like, who knows how much time's passed, at least they have somewhat of a fleet instead of getting bailed out at the last minute. Like, they have at least a little bit of a fighting chance.
I think, doesn't episode 8 need to end where things are hopeless?
Yeah, and I think that's where the separation comes into play. It's almost similar to the Carbonite thing, I guess, but I think Rey and Luke, something needs to happen in that aspect of the movie to really end it on that dark note.
Yeah, I mean, either I think Rey is injured, or she ends up on her own, whether through Luke's death or Luke is taken or somehow otherwise gone missing, and Rey is mentorless.
Taken by Kylo Ren and the Knights, or, well, we think the Knights are probably dead at this point, but taken by the First Order, or even Rey possibly willingly boarding a First Order ship, or Kylo Ren ship even. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it could be done in a way that we think Rey is turned, but maybe in her back pocket she knows that maybe she's going to go do this, and she hasn't really turned, but she's going to go pretend that she has, but we'll think that she's gone over.
Yeah, I have that down here too. Like, definitely I can see the double agent thing.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up in agony by the time episode 8 credits roll. All right, there you go, ads. I mean, I know that was kind of all over the place, but in the short of it, Rey's on her own. The Resistance is screwed. The Republic is non-committal. That's where I'm at this point.
I'm at the point where I think it's a very bleak moment, much like Empire, where it seems like all hope is lost, but at the same time, they're together, and there's hope on the horizon still, on the galactic horizon.
Yeah, see, I see it as I agree that it's going to be pretty bleak, but I see it as like Rey just has more questions than ever. Like, is she? We're not sure if she's going to stay, light or go dark, and we're not sure who her parents are, even more so than we are now. Like we've been told two different things, and only one can be
I
true.
really like that, James.
Maybe even more than two.
I agree with you there too. Yeah.
And you can add to that except she'll be far more powerful, which could be a really dangerous thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, ads. That was a good one. And, as I guess once Celebration hits and we see some footage, we can maybe scratch some things off the list or add to the list. And definitely as more news trickles out and more trailers come out down the line, we'll revisit this. Maybe. You probably have to ask us. Who's kidding who? Okay, one more before we close out the show. It's from Stubaka, guys. Tales of Geekdom on Twitter. Give him a follow. Very, very, very positive presence on Twitter. So that's at Tales of Geekdom.
Love this guy.
You got to follow Stubaka.
Yeah, super awesome, cool dude.
And so he asks us, this was a tough one, guys. I had trouble with this. In a live-action Rebels film, who would you cast? But you cannot use the voice actors from the TV show. Sorry if this has been covered in the last year, but my memory is not what it once was. Well, whose memory is what it once was? My memory used to be great and now is not. So, Corey, I'm going to put you on the spot first, just because. Who's your cast in a live action?
Really, I thought we were going to go round table on this.
Well,
but,
we can. It's
go
your
round
show.
table,
We'll go
but...
round table. Let's start with Kanan.
Kanan. Okay, first and foremost, I want to say that we got tons of show notes every week. Kyle puts together a great show, and we do our research and whatnot. And this is the question this week that I spent the longest time on.
By far.
By far. I literally did I was looking at actors, this and that, like what I had in my head. Took me a good 20, 30 minutes to bang out all. I don't know. I got quite a few of the characters down here.
The thing is that what this question made obvious to me is, like, if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I'd have been able to just bang out names like crazy, because I used to go to movies all the time. We'd watch movies, we'd probably watch 2, 3, 4 movies a weekend. So I knew all the actors. I saw so much stuff. And now, after kids, I don't see any movies except for the select few that I really want to see, be it Star Wars or Marvel, and a couple others. So what this taught me is that I am totally out of touch with today's young set of Hollywood actors. I am completely out of touch. So this was kind of an exercise in looking around and seeing some names and faces that maybe I didn't necessarily know before.
All right, so you want to go Kanan first?
Let's start with Kanan.
All right, I think, the obvious answer that came to my head first, the first impression that hit my head was Keanu Reeves. Don't laugh.
No, that came to my mind too, except I realized he's 20 years too old.
Yeah, but he can pull it off, man. He looks not... He's over 50 years old, but God, he doesn't look it. And another actor that came to my head after extensive research, again, he's getting there too, but I went with Karl Urban.
Yeah, because I mean, you figure for a role like Kanan, it would have to be occupied by a star, right? Almost like a leading guy type. I don't know if you...
Oh, no doubt.
Although if any franchise does appoint nobodies to leading roles, it's Star Wars. But Karl Urban's not a terrible choice, I don't think. I don't... James? Let's see what James has for Kanan.
I like. I don't know if this is like too close since he was Batman with that terrible voice, but I like Christian Bale.
I also had him on my list. I don't think it's a terrible choice.
No, I can see the visual on it. I always picture someone with a goatee, you know?
Yeah, and he's got the sort of the bright like oval face.
No, I don't think that's a bad choice at all. But my choice for Kanan is someone who, I mean, if you saw his picture, and I had this talk with my wife. She said, "Why would you pick him? So you're looking at a picture of him on the red carpet in a tux. That's not the picture to go by." But I would go with Armie Hammer, and the only reason why,
really,
yeah, I mean,
wow,
I mean the guy is 6'5", and Kanan is about that height. They're the right age, and I think you could definitely just have the guy put on a goatee and grow out his hair a little bit, or throw a wig on him, put some extensions in there, and bingo bongo, there's your Kanan.
Wow. Yeah, I can kind of see it, I guess. Again, ovalish face. All right, so who's next?
Corey, you choose what you want to do next.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say, because you kind of mentioned it either, listeners and co-hosts alike, let's get Google ready here. Let's tackle the younger crowd, because as Kyle had said, we're kind of out of touch. So I'm going to go with Sabine. And, you know, I Googled actresses under 25 years old. And the one that, you know, I spotted her name was Victoria Justice. I think she's been on the show called Zoe 101, if I'm not mistaken.
No idea what you're talking about.
I'd never heard of her before, but, I mean, if you have a phone or laptop handy, Victoria Justice. Big eyes.
Victoria Justice. Okay, I'm looking for her now. Okay. Yeah, visually, yes, for sure.
See, one of the things we don't know is what nationalities are these people. I always thought Sabine was supposed to be at least Asian influenced. That's right.
I picked an Asian actress for my Sabine. Do you know who
yes,
Jamie Chung
I did.
is?
She's the first one that came to mind, and my wife's like, "Yeah, of course that's her." But then I was like, "Well, she's twice Sabine's age," and I know Jamie Chung is gorgeous and looks great and could probably.
No,
she's 30.
She's 30.
She's 33.
She looks
33.
like she's 21. Yeah. Is she 33?
And Sabine is like 17, 18, I think.
That's fine. Actresses. Yeah, I'm looking at her right now. And
so young.
I think that's...
like, she looks like a 20-year-old.
Right, Corey? She looks
dude,
look
great. At James Vanderbeek. The guy was like a super creepo playing a teenager.
No, I thought I couldn't make that far of a leap. But James, she was the first person that came to mind immediately.
Yeah.
But I have a pair of Haleys as my Sabine. One of them is named Haley Kiyoko, and the other is Haley Steinfeld.
Let's see this. Haley.
Are you typing on a typewriter?
Yeah.
Corey, do you type with like 2 fingers?
It depends.
That's a yes. Are you really seriously? Are you one of those people that type with like just your 2 index fingers?
No, not at all. I am right now because I have stuff in my hands, like my show notes and whatnot. But yeah, I kind of see it.
Oh, I'm looking at Haley. She's blonde in the pictures I'm looking at, so it's sort of throwing me off. But yeah, I can see it.
You look at her and you say she's not Asian, but there is some Asian in her lineage, which I figure was close enough.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
And the other one was Kyoko?
Yeah, Kiyoko.
Yoko. That's who I'm looking at, actually.
Okay, I was looking at the other one first. Oh, yeah. Wow, I really see that one.
That's my Sabine. If I had to pick one or the other, that's my Sabine.
I totally 100% see
and
that.
This is... We're doing this exercise on Stu Baca's behalf here. I have no idea who she is. I don't think I've ever seen her in a single movie in my entire life.
No, if I would have seen that pick, I would have taken that for sure. Because I was on the same line as that. I was looking for somewhat Asian characters as well.
You know, I'm looking at her credits here.
So-
I have not seen her in a single thing.
So let's continue in that vein. I'm gonna go ahead and kick another of the younger guys off the list and go with Ezra. You guys at the ready with your Googlers?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right. Ryan Potter is the future star of a show called Joe-Jitsu.
Oh, he's also
Ryan.
in Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
Was he the voice of Hero? Yeah, he was. He
I'm
was
not
the voice
sure.
of Hero.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good choice. That's a better choice than mine for Ezra. That's a good pick for Ezra.
I'm flattered, big bro. Yeah, I went down the list, man. Stubaku, we went deep on this one. It's deep cuts.
This is really the first time I can say I really did it some actual work. No, that's a good choice. My Ezra was another young actor named Cody Smith McPhee.
Cody Schmidt.
Smith.
McPhee.
SMIT.
SM. What's the last name?
McPhee. He played Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse, if you need him.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, there you go.
I've seen this kid. I've seen him in
Yeah,
a couple
I
of
could
things.
see
and
that.
He's a very capable young actor.
I could see that.
I could see it too. I just don't think he's pretty enough.
Well, if that's your priority, then okay.
Ezra's a good-looking kid.
Well, you know what? That kid from the vampire movie is pretty enough, and he's got that crazy hair.
Which vampire movie?
You know who I'm talking about, right?
The only relevant vampire movie
Yeah.
you can ask Jeremy at Talk Star Wars is The Lost Boys.
Blade. Oh, Lost Boy's great, but Blade's good too.
Yeah, the first Blade was amazing, actually.
I'll endorse anything with Jessica Biel in it.
Like JT?
Oh God.
Oh.
Well, I like JT.
Wow.
I like Timberlake when he's on SNL with Jimmy Fallon. That's when I like Justin Timberlake.
No, I like him anywhere now after having seen him on SNL.
Anyway, James, who?
He gave me a whole new...
Forget JT.
whole new
Get
respect
JT
level.
out of here. James, who's your Ezra?
This kid called Jake T. Austin.
See, I like this. You know what I said to break out the
I'm thinking the guy from,
Because remember Texas Battle?
I'm thinking about isn't it the kid from? Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
He did some voice work.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing it.
What do you think? He's sort of got that.
It's got the Ezra
I don't know.
style.
Oh, he's got the hair for
Yeah,
sure.
I definitely see it.
What,
I'm there
what's
with
the
you,
name
James.
of the kid from 3.5 Men? Or 2.5 Men? I thought that was the kid's name.
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
I know
I'm
what
like,
kid you're
wait,
talking
you're
about,
gonna go
but I
with
can't
that kid,
remember
James? You've lost your damn mind.
his name. No, this kid looks
Angus
much,
T.
much more the
Jones.
part.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And then his name was Jake.
There's a T in there.
2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Easy to see how I got all slipped up there. As I make excuses for myself. Okay, Corey, since you're steering the bus on this one, where are we going next? But yeah, three. I think those are three good choices for Ezra.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I like the look of all of those. Good job, guys.
I just want to make sure my boy doesn't get skipped out here, but let's go with the Chopper, man. You guys, I don't think you probably came up with anything for this.
No.
No, I did. I know who I want to voice Chopper.
Okay, voice, yeah.
Corey Roussel.
Nice. I am a kind of a celeb, aren't I, Kyle?
Sure.
I'm a tumbling sabler blur.
Whatever you say, Corey.
All right. You got anything?
What's your question?
Chopper.
No.
Who?
Just stuff somebody in there.
I'm cramming Danny DeVito in my chopper.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. The good laugh. I just started thinking of small people, and I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
It doesn't.
It makes no sense.
It's really funny.
I don't think Danny DeVito's as small as you think he is.
I think he's smaller than everybody thinks he is.
All right, so no Chopper. Let's go to the next on the list. I want to make sure this guy gets some love as well. Let's go with Rex.
Oh man, well it has to be Tamara Morrison.
See, no, he said no one who played or voiced the role prior.
Right, but Rex was on the big screen.
Yeah, but do we have to recast him?
Yeah, you got to recast him, man. You got to play the game here. No loopholes. It's not a loophole.
But he's an established character before Rebels. He was on the big screen. He wasn't on the. You didn't see his face on the big screen, but we know the clones are established as Tamara Morrison in a film before
Kyle,
animated.
Retcon the character.
No, that's a loophole.
Yeah, I didn't take any time to research that one either.
Forget that one then. I wanted to make you guys laugh. I got a star on this one. I put Mel Gibson or Bruce Willis. All right, let's before we hit Hera up, let's say who.
No, but you know what? For before you go on, I would say more than those two, but on the big star level, I would put Beautiful Mind Gladiator.
Russell Crowe.
What's his name? Russell Crowe in that role.
Bushy beard, bit of a belly, older. Yeah.
Well, you got to think of a person of color
voice.
as this guy, as Rex. He's a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably they probably wouldn't like the role going to an Aussie.
Probably not.
Right, let's tackle Zeb before we get to Hera.
Yeah, I tackled Zeb, assuming that he would be CG and the voice would be taken care of by whatever actor you throw in there.
Oh, see, I cast him.
Yeah,
I don't know why I cast him, because you're right. That's how they would definitely do it.
He would still be like Alan Tudyk, like Ahmed Best. These guys would still be on screen, like still on set, but in the end, you wouldn't. They'd be kind of unrecognizable. So who you got, James?
Okay, his name's Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, okay.
Manganiello.
Isn't that the guy that's playing Deathstroke?
Deathstroke or Deathstroke?
I hope he is. He's super cool.
Is that the what? Is that the guy that's married to?
He's like 6'5".
Sofia Vergara?
Maybe. Don't know.
I didn't look up his bio. It just
what is it? Joe?
IMDb'd him. I'm trying to look
Wasn't he in
through
some kind of vampire show too?
MAN. Yes. MAN. GANIELLO.
Yeah, that's him. He's married to Sofia Vergara, and he's going to be in the next Batman movie.
Oh, I like that.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, he's big enough.
Yeah, I wanted like a big dude who I figured could play the role with prosthetics, but obviously that would be CGI. Kyle's right.
Yeah, that's it. Like I wanted that same route. Like I thought, okay, like we can have CGI with this character, but who's kind of representing with that face and whatnot? So I kind of went with a bit of low hanging fruit, maybe, but Jason Statham.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jason Momoa, who was my second choice, but Statham, I could see why you would pick him too.
Yeah, although he's a shrimp. You'd have to put him on stilts like Alan Tudyk. I went with just purely on voice. And, Zeb's got that gravelly Australian voice. So I put Hugh Jackman in there.
That's funny.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
So that was my Zeb.
I hear Dennis Leary's voice.
Oh man, I love Steve Bloom.
Yeah,
He's so good.
definitely.
I listened to a Full of Sith podcast recently where they had some of the voice actors from Star Wars on, and it was such a funny show. My God, these guys are good. They're so talented. And James Arnold Taylor was there. It was from I'm not going to say what con it was. I'm not sure. But James Arnold Taylor and now I'm blanking. Was Phil Lamar was there. Fred Tatasciore was there, who does. I guess he's famously known for the voice of the Hulk. But anyway, these guys were just sort of kicking it on stage, and it was so funny. These guys can just go in and out of voices so easily. It's hilarious. And James Arnold Taylor does an amazing Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan. It's amazing how he can just go there, like on cue. Anyway, quick little aside.
I've always been impressed by that. Impressions?
I mean, I guess that's a pro, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's a talent.
Okay, so that leaves us. We're down to. We all did our Zeb. We're down to Hera, the leader of the Hera of the Ghost crew. So Corey, who you got for Hera?
I kind of was 50-50 split again. Don't laugh, but I got Vanessa Williams and Halle Berry.
Dude, I'm not laughing. I had Vanessa Williams on my list too.
Shut up.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Like Vanessa Williams. That Vanessa Williams?
Vanessa Williams.
Huh. Okay.
You don't see it?
I see it. I see it right off the bat.
I guess I can. I think I'm too locked into like character ages and matching that somewhat to the actor's age.
For a different species than human, the character age is more irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I mean, it should be under heavy prosthetics anyway and painted green, so I get it's less of a.
Oh, I consider Hera like a late 30s, early 40s kind of.
Hera's
girl.
younger than Kanan. She's not even 30.
Really?
Yep, which caught me too.
Wow.
But yeah, when I looked up her age, way back when, it's like, really, she's that young? Okay, I think she's like she might be even in her mid-20s.
But she needs that mothering quality that comes from the older actresses that you picked. Because she's quite a nurturer.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it.
So I'm corrupt on this one because the cover. I have a cover of it's a big thick novel and it has Tarkin and A New Dawn in the same book. And I've been told that a lot of artist renderings of Hera are based on Scarlett Johansson, including the cover of my book. But I don't see it at all. I saw Adrienne Padalecki, and I'm sending you guys a link right now. If you hit that link, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. She was Adrienne. What the hell's her name? Adrienne Palicki. Excuse me. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Mockingbird. I don't know if that rings a bell for you, but the artist sketch on the cover of that book, I was like, whoa, that's Adrienne Palicki. Now, I was told that's Scarlett Johansson. I don't see it. But I think...
On which one? A New Dawn?
Yeah.
I don't see it. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, but you have the actual hardcover A New Dawn, right?
No, I have the soft cover.
Well, okay, fine. It's still the same artwork, though. The artwork I have is different. Or is it? I don't know. Oh, no, it's not. You're right. It's the same thing, just mine's black and white. Yours is a full color. But I don't see Scarlett Johansson there at all.
When I look at the full color one, like I honestly see like an African American woman, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, she's going to be painted green anyway.
It's funny. I picked, and I don't know if the fact that she was in Avatar just makes her ineligible professionally. I don't know if those worlds are going to cross. but I like Zoe Saldana.
I mean, she's green in Guardians of the Galaxy.
She can do
Yep.
she can do other colors, right? She can do.
She's not, is she an Avatar?
Yeah, she's the.
Or do you mean Guardians, James?
No, she's in both.
No, I mean Avatar.
Really, eh? Oh, she's a hot commodity, that one, huh?
Absolutely, she's
Star
huge.
Trek, all the big franchises.
I still think her best role is in Columbiana. Absolute badass in that. So I did some bonus homework on this one, guys, and I came up with a few bad guys. I don't know if Stubaka actually wanted us to do this, but I threw in a couple villains, and so I did.
I like it.
Again, it's the same story. I don't know many of the actors that are going around today, and I kind of hit the bottom of the barrel as far as my internal, I guess, Rolodex of actors to pull from. So I created a role for Agent Callus, and that role went to a young actor. He's in his mid-20s, named Alex Pettyfer. Pettyfer. That was actually suggested to me by my wife, and then upon Googling him, I quickly realized why. But
Yes, I can see why.
a very good-looking young man, and not an ugly individual by any stretch.
Say his name again, sorry?
Alex Pettyfer. Pettyfer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's funny, I have him on my list as well, but I didn't know if we were going to go there either.
Well, then why did you ask me to spell his name if you already had him on your list?
No, not Alex Pettyfer, Callus, sorry.
All right. Well, who's your Callus?
Liev Schreiber.
Now, did you just get lazy and put the chops on because he had chops in as Sabretooth?
Pretty much.
You
Googled
lazy
it,
shit.
and he came up.
Pretty much.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I looked at it and I said, hey, works for me.
Oh, who's going to complain about Liev Schreiber?
Seriously. You ever hear that guy read Winnie the Pooh? It's awesome.
No. I'll take your word for it. All right. I also created myself a Thrawn. We're going to have to slap a...
Yeah, I have a Thrawn. I have a
Go for
Thrawn
it.
suggestion as well. So just not based on look necessarily so much as just the way he could carry himself. Gerard Butler.
Yeah. Okay. I buy that.
Yeah, thinking about it on the spot, I think we need a bit of prosthetics. But even though it's the guy's brother, I would go with Mads Mikkelsen. You know, he's already been in the Star Wars universe, but, you know, whatever. Throw a bit of makeup on there and...
Unprecedented. This same actor doing two roles in Star Wars? Has that been done?
Well, they're brothers. Or, no, you're right.
I mean, he'd be Galen and Thrawn?
Two different roles. A lot of characters do different voice work, but no, not two physical roles, no.
Well, my choice for Thrawn, you have to throw a wig on him because he's been bald for as long as I've known him. Mark Strong. Just think of the voice. The voice is there, man.
Yeah, I can see it. I like that better than mine, actually.
Strong?
Mark Strong. You must know Mark Strong.
Yeah. Oceans?
Oceans.
Yeah, I think he was in Oceans 13. No?
Was he?
I know him, though. I've seen him. Yeah, I guess I can kind of see that.
Oh, you
yeah.
guys, okay. Speaking of Mark Strong, last weekend, Kenneth and I were just flipping through channels, and we come across this nutso movie, completely crazy movie, a Sacha Baron Cohen movie, the Brothers Grimsby. Holy moly! Oh my
I feel
god!
like I've seen that.
That's based on... Isn't that... Is that the one? That's not based on
No,
fairy tales,
no,
is it?
not at all. It's so not based on fairy tale. Anyway, one last one here before we wrap it up. I also did a Governor Price because it was just too easy. And again, check your Facebook messages. I'm just sending this over again. Kate Blanchett as Governor Price.
Of course.
That has to happen. Just.
It's not that it has to happen, but that's clearly
They would have to do it. They just doll her up as Irina Spalko again, and just run her out there.
Oh, when we talked about Charlize Theron on Tumbling Saber this week, and a couple of the guys put out a suggestion of who she could be in the Star Wars universe. And wow, when I Googled it, I don't know how to say this name, but Asajj Ventress. Man, that's a perfect role for her.
Yeah, I think she could pull that off.
She's a little young, Asajj,
Definitely.
but that would. I think she can pull it off for sure.
What can't Charlize Theron pull off? Let's be for real here. Okay, Stubaka, thank you, sir. You gave us a lot to think about this week. I don't know if people listening are Googling along with us and putting together their own list, but I'd like to hear some other suggestions for live action Rebels people. Not that I think we'll ever see them on the big screen, but stranger things have happened, so who knows?
Yeah, awesome question. Thank you.
Stubaka, we'd love to hear from you again.
I really did like that question.
No, that was fun. It made me do a little homework, so in a good way. Sometimes homework is a chore, but that was like...
Yeah, that was fun. That was definitely fun.
Playtime. Yep.
All right, guys, I think that's the end of the show for this week. We could go a little longer, but we're going to call it quits here, and we'll let you guys go. We'll be back this week, though, with Journals of the Willing. Later in the week, Steve and I are going to be back with a look at some Star Wars from the printed page. And
what are you guys covering this week?
We're going to actually take a look at the synopsis for the Thrawn novel. We're going to talk about that. We are going to look at the Star Wars propaganda book. And we're going to look at the Star Wars Maps and Atlas book. We're going to survey those books. And that...
And as a teaser, weren't you going to bring up all of your favorite nicknames from your childhoods, you and Steve?
No.
Listen in. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Disappoint the fans.
Yeah, that's just what we do. Come on. Okay, Corey, James, thanks, guys. Where can we find you guys on the Twitter?
You're gonna find me at Chop Rules with a Z.
And I'm still at Tumbling. Nope. Tommy Bombadil 1.
It's
late.
And I'm at Tumbling Saber. And don't forget to check out our friends at the Star Wars Commonwealth. That would be Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, the Skyhoppers, the Rogue Squadron podcast, and the Nerd Room. Get your dose of all kinds of geekdom, especially Star Wars there. Visit StarWarsCommonwealth.com for way more info. Visit iTunes. Look us up on iTunes. You can drop us a 5-star review there if you're feeling charitable. That will help us out quite a bit. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hit our webpage, tumblingsaber.com, to sign up for the newsletter. And our thanks to Ads and Stubaka for stupendous questions this week. Hope to hear more from you guys again soon. And that's it. We're signing off for now, and we'll catch you guys later this week.